Hi, we're here to look at the full moon on Saturday, the 12th of April. And what a story it has to tell. In fact, it's a story with two potentials, one side of the coin or the other side of the coin. And hopefully, those affected by it will find their way to the more glorious and happier side of the coin. Right, let's go to the share and have a look what's happening, shall we? Right. And there we go. Okie dokie. So I've set this up. Now let's just establish the time. It is just into Sunday if you're in the UK. If you're in the States, then this is very much about the Saturday. So it's the full moon on the Saturday. I should imagine that Friday will probably be the day that we should be keeping our eye on. The events regarding a full moon nearly always happen the day before. It's never exactly on it unless there's an eclipse. So all these different rules. But you could certainly be looking at the Friday. Okay, now we've got some interesting stuff around the sun here. So the sun is at 23 degrees of Aries, and so is Chiron. And we've got Eris the other side at 25, who cannot be left out. In actual fact, I must tell you about the story around Eris. So it's Eris was named after a goddess who was left out of the party, and felt so enraged by this that she threw an apple with for the fairest of all into the middle of three of the Greek goddesses, who all wanted, of course, to be the fairest of all. And so, therefore, there was a competition then. There was something of an argument. And the three of them all said that Zeus should decide. He wasn't going to decide, that's for sure. So he found a human who was stupid enough to take the role. Anyway, the whole thing led to a huge war, Troy, all kinds of things, and battles and stuff. So the story around Eris then always has to be that this is a troublemaker. This is a discordant energy which will give us problems if we haven't cleverly avoided it. Okay, now I'm just going to go back to the share so I can just finish that. There we go again. Right. So, Chiron. Well, now Chiron is called the wounded healer. And I think there are potentials here, both for the transpersonal, so that is the collective, the national story, the international story. And then I think there is a different outcome, or potentially a different outcome, for personal stories, for single Aryan types, for instance, who are in relationships. Um, and we can't avoid Libra's sort of inclusion in all of this. So I think for the Libran sun signs and for the Aries sun signs, this is going to be an important weekend. And I think for those with a lot of Aries in their chart or a lot of Libra in their chart, then again, you're down for an important weekend. Okay, so let's just look at the axis of Libra and Aries to start with. Um, Okay, so this is a part of the zodiac belt which deals with relating and relationship, and I call it the world of one versus the world of two because I think this is a fair way of putting it. Aries is very interested and quite specialist at the world of one. Libra is very interested in and quite specialist, so Libra thinks, and the world of two. Now, both of these energies are cardinal signs, which means that they instigate, they initiate, they lead. And each wants to think that its powers for leadership are greater than anybody else's. So Librans will loftily tell you where you're going wrong in a relationship, and Aries will loftily tell you that that you aren't winning because you're weak and you have no strength and you have no leadership qualities. So it just depends. Right. Having established that, the whole axis is about combat. It's about battle. It's about the Knights of the Round Table. It's about Robin Hood and his band of merry men robbing from the rich to give to the poor. It's taking up a crusade. It's taking up arms and marching into battle for whatever reason. And the battle can be because somebody thinks that they've got right on their side, that their particular stance is all about something that has morals and beliefs on their side, and they're right, and that's it. And so into battle they go to defend anything, defend themselves, defend a little old lady, defend anybody against what they see is the greater bully. Okay, now you can see that I've used some words there which have great relevance to the times that we're living in. And so it is with great interest that I look at the fact that this full moon, which is flanked, which has a sun, which is flanked on either side by Chiron and by Eris, it's with great interest that I look at this and think, wow, this comes now. Ha! This is this is astrology in the making. This is interesting stuff. Okay, so normally when we get a full moon, you've got, like I say, one zodiac sign on one side, one on the other. Now, it's quite often the fact that the sun is, well, in fact, nearly always the fact that the sun is the dominant planet. So the sun is the center of the solar system. The sun is God. The sun is joyous, happy in this case, because it's in a fire sign and the sun represents fire itself. So the sun should be strong. It should be potent. It should be in great leadership form. Okay. And the moon always being the weaker, the yin, the feminine, emotionally powerful, but not when it comes to charging forward and battling. However, the moon is in Libra. Now, all right, we've got an emotional quality with the moon. The moon always gives us a sense of frisson of fear, really, caution. But battle is Libra's particular thing, although no Libran will agree with me. It's Libra likes to take an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth to balance those scales. And so Libra will go to fight if it feels the scales aren't balanced. Right. So in this case, in this particular case, the sun is weakened, considerably weakened, by having Chiron next to it and Eris on the other side, because either of those two planets could produce a very difficult and challenging scenario in which Aries is not powerful, in which Aries fails, in which the sun fails, in which the sun is not powerful. Right. So that's one particular scenario. Let's take the worldwide transpersonal collective scenario, right? So in this case, and obviously with everybody talking about Trump and tariffs and this kind of thing, it's likely that it's all wrapped up in that, really, isn't it? You don't have to be into astrology to get that one. So in that case, if Trump is representing the fire end and the Aries end and the sun, which is weakened and has Chiron on one side and Eris on the other, then it could be seen, it could be that he is weakened by this, or the whole sort of project, which is being so supported by all the Republicans, one assumes, I don't know, I'm not over there, that is so supported by at least, let's say, his cabinet, the ministers around him. I'm probably using English terms, I'm sorry about that. Um, then it looks as if that this crusade, if you like, is weakened, and there are flaws. Um, Something is weakening it. Anyway, right, okay. Now, if we just take instead of that, let's just oh, and in that scenario, sorry, I must say, if the moon represents the people, which it quite often does in another astrology, in horary astrology, then the people are coming back at Trump with a more balanced approach, they think. But they probably are. I probably agree with them. But anyway, I heard a commenter the other day say, look, the thing with the tariffs is great, it's perfect, but there's something about trying to eat the whole elephant at once. And I just burst out laughing. And I thought, with this full moon coming up, this might be what it's deemed to be like. Maybe the whole initiative is a great one, but it's trying to eat the whole elephant at once that might be the problem. But anyway, um, okay, so taking that now into the personal realm. So, in between a couple, the world of two, then one of the couple, the world of one side, um, can be in some way humiliated or have their light dimmed or is weakened in some way. And the world of two, on the other side, a partner is saying, well, you see, you should have done da 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 da. So that they may the pioneering spirit of Aries may be being given a lecture by the airy air sign Libra, which is very good at saying you stand there, not there, not there, here. Libra is always very good at arranging spatially where two people are. So it's not about stand here. Come and sit here. No, stand there. Libra likes to organize spatial space and the things in it. But anyway, so now let's take another scenario, right? I'm going to pile another one on now. Yes, Chiron is the wounded healer. Now let's just take healer instead of wounded, right? Chiron is the way in which we deal with our wounds. And we can have reached a stage where we have enough wisdom to manage this type of astrology. So it can be that as a healer and with experience of issues and damage and difficulties, and also Eris can also be an energy which can be managed if one has covered all of the things that one should have done. Eris is most difficult when something hasn't been done properly. So if you've properly done everything, if you've been considerate, if you're wise, if you're taking into account the issues, humiliations, guilts, embarrassments, difficulties of others, then it's likely that this could be a time of great healing. And with the powerful Eris there as well, then it could be a time when the single energy of Aries, the world of one, receives some kind of accolade that empowers. Now, you can always, with astrology and always with the planets, turn them over. You can always say, well, this represents this, but in its negative side, it represents this. And I think that's where we get some free will in life. I think we can bend the energy. We can work towards the more positive outcome and therefore not have life happen to us. We can get in the driving seat and be a co-partner in this. As we wend our way through the roller coaster ride that seems to be life. Anyway, so I hope that was useful. I do think it's well worth watching from Friday and seeing what's happening out there in the world, and also bear it in mind for your own personal relationship if you are in a romantic relationship. It can also, if you don't have a partner, to pick up the world of two opposite you, that can often be a neighbor, a friend, a family member. So it's about be pragmatic and try to be balanced in this, and remember that somebody wants to feel as if they have great strength and may not appear to have great strength. You don't want to be putting them down. You want to be trying to get a healing situation instead of an aggressive one. I hope that was useful. And I may not be making a video on Friday, but we'll see. It's the energy is really quite tense, and it looks as if it might be. Then I might leave it until it's gone. Let's see. Anyway, it's been fantastic to talk to you, and I really appreciate you listening.